Welcome everybody. So today we are going to study about ecological pyramids, right? When pyramids comes in our mind, we think about broader base and narrow apex, right? Narrow top, right? Same thing is there up to certain extent also. In ecological pyramid, right? And in ecological pyramid, what is there that at the base side we are taking producers, right? And at the apex side we are taking the last type of consumers, right? So this is ecological pyramid is actually a kind of graphical representation wherein we are showing a number of individuals or biomass or energy level at different trophic level, right? So if we see this graphical representation, we will find out that this thing is there in pyramidal form, right? That means producers are highest in number, they are having highest amount of energy, they are having highest biomass. When we move upward gradually, we see that this numbers or this quantity of biomass or this energy is decreasing trophic by trophic, right? And this is how this kind of arrangement is. If we look at the ecological pyramid of biomass, we can see that when there is around 6 million of producers, we can see that there will be only three organisms will be there in tertiary consumers, right? So they are sufficient for just three tertiary consumers, right? PP is for primary producers, then PC is for primary consumers, SC is for secondary consumer, and TC is for tertiary consumer, right? Now if we see ecological pyramid for biomass as well, we can able to see that in ecological pyramid of biomass, when there is around 800 kilogram per meter square of producers, then this much producers, this amount of producers can support only 1.5 kilogram per meter square of tertiary consumer. Understood? So this is ecological pyramid of biomass. Understood? So in both of this graph we have seen pyramidal structure, right? The graph is having pyramidal form, right? Again, if we see ecological pyramid for energy as well, we have already studied about this, at every trophic level there is decrease of energy by 10%. So obviously in energy, when we see ecological pyramid of energy also, we can find that there are something around 10,000 kilojoule of energy at producer level, then it will be 1000 joule at 1000 joule at the primary consumers, then 100 joule at secondary consumer, and just 10 joule at tertiary consumer. Understood? So this is how energy is also decreasing by 10% at each trophic level, right? So this is ecological pyramid for ecological pyramid for energy. So this is how this graphical representation is having pyramidal structure, and that's why this is called ecological pyramids. But there are certain things that we need to observe, that we need to keep in mind while we are constructing this ecological pyramid, right? And that thing is, we should include all those organisms which belongs to particular trophic level in that trophic level. Understood? For example, if we are taking secondary consumer, then we should include all secondary consumers in that trophic level. If we exclude few organisms or some of the organisms, then from that ecological pyramid we cannot conclude a generalized idea. Understood? So we need to include all those organisms which belongs to that trophic level in the graphical representation, right? What we call as ecological pyramids. Understood? So it is very, very important. Again, in ecological pyramids, there are some organisms which belongs to secondary consumers as well as primary consumers, right? For example, if we take some birds, these birds are actually consuming fruits or seeds, but sometimes they are consuming insects. They are also consuming insects and worms as well, right? So they belongs to primary consumers and they also belongs to secondary consumers. These organisms are omnivores, right? We must not forget about insectivorous animals, insectivorous plants, if any plant are there in particular ecosystem, right? These plants are consuming insects as well as they are doing photosynthesis. Understood? So this kind of different type of organisms are there in the ecosystem, where we should not forget about food web, right? There is not a simple food chain, or there are not simply food chains in an ecosystem, but there are food web in an any ecosystems, right? So this kind of arrangement is there in the ecological pyramids. One more thing that we need to discuss is most of the times this ecological pyramids are upright. That means we are having broader base, we are having more biomass or more energy in the producer level and lesser in consumer level. But there are some biomass which are having inverted position, right? That means here consumers are more in biomass than in producers, right? If we take biomass, if we construct pyramid of biomass for aquatic ecosystem, we can find that there are more biomass in zooplanktons than in phytoplanktons, right? This is the graph of this is the ecological pyramid of, though it is called ecological pyramid, but it is having inverted pyramid, right? Wherein zooplanktons are higher in number than phytoplanktons, right? Now, how this can sustain in an ecosystem? How can consumers be more than producers, right? That is because this producers must have higher reproducing capability, means they are reproducing in very short time, right? And zooplanktons must have very slow rate for consuming phytoplanktons, understood? So there is a higher reproduction time or lesser lifespan or smaller lifespan in phytoplanktons and higher and smaller speed of consuming in zooplanktons, understood? If this type of condition is there, then only this kind of thing is, this inverted biomass ecosystem having inverted ecological pyramid can be sustained, understood? Again, there are some limitations also in ecological pyramids. First, we have already discussed that some organisms belongs to more than one trophic level, right? And some organisms, these organisms belongs to more trophic levels. That's why we cannot put them properly in their proper trophic levels, right? Which creates a lot of ambiguousness, that is confusion, and this is how this ecological pyramids can get disturbed, understood? And second thing is, though decomposers have huge role in ecosystem to play, but these decomposers are not included, cannot be included in ecological pyramids, right? So these two are limitations or drawbacks in ecological pyramids, understood? One more thing that I forgot to tell you about is, if we talk about inverted ecological pyramids, there is one more example that if we take ecological pyramid of numbers, right, that is pyramid of numbers, we have one example that there are a lot of ants which are consuming on just one tree, right? So just one number of producer and there will be 1,000 number of ants which are fitting on the same tree, right? So this is one more example of inverted ecological pyramid of inverted ecological pyramid of numbers, understood? So this is about ecological pyramids. Ecological succession. We have already learned about organisms, populations, and we have learned about communities as well in 13th chapter, right? Where we have studied that population and communities act totally different from an individual. How population and communities interacts with their environment is totally different from how individual interacts with the environment, right? You have studied about regulators, conformers, and all those things, right? One more important aspect with the communities is this communities keeps on changing with keeps on changing gradually with the time, right? They take huge span of time, but they keeps on changing, understood? And these changes are orderly, sequential, and parallel with the change in physical environment, and this changes keeps on continuing till it reaches the equilibrium. Equilibrium means now there will be no further changes in the species composition in a place. Now what is meaning of species composition? Species composition means for a particular place there are this species are there. Now this, for a particular place, for this place, this collection of species are called species composition, understood? So here after certain period of time, in change, while this changes in communities are occurring, while changes in species is occurring, right, there will be a stage which will come ultimately, which leads to formation of equilibrium, in which there will be no further changes in species composition, and this stage and this equilibrium stage is called climax stage, right? So it is a stage where no further changes in species composition is occurring, right? It have this changes is been equilibrium in now, it have produced equilibrium status, and that's why this stage is called climax stage, understood? The gradual and fairly predictable changes in a given area in species composition is called ecological succession, right? And this ecological succession leads to introduction of new species, and these species are colonizing the area, which leads to decline of olderly existing species, and this olderly existing species may get disappear from this area. Understood? So this is how ecological succession is occurring, when new species are introduced at a different period of time and older species get extinct. Understood? The entire sequence of communities that have successively changed is at a particular place is called SAIDs. Understood? I'm repeating this definition again. The entire sequence of all the species of all communities, not species but communities, the entire sequence of communities which have changed gradually in a particular area is, or have changed successively in a particular area, is called SAIDs. Understood? They are called SAIDs. That means, for example, let's take hydrosails. Hydrosails means in a particular place where water amount is higher, and all the communities which have been developed from earlier stage till the climax community, all those communities belongs to this SAIDs. Understood? All those species belong to this SAIDs. Even those species which have extincted, or those species which have newly introduced in the climax community. Understood? All those species, all those communities belongs to the SAIDs. And each transitional stage of these communities, are called seral stages. Understood? Are called seral stages. Means what species composition is there before 400 years is a seral stage, right? Before 300 years is another seral stage. Before 200 years is another seral stage. And all these different seral stage have different type of species. They may have similar type of species, but they will have different type of species as well, where at each transitional stage there will be development of new species, and there would be a disappearance of older species. Understood? So this is how several stages get changes, and what happens here during this development in several stages, during this ecological succession, there will be increase in there will be increase in population, and there will be increase in diversity, which ultimately leads to increase in biomass of that particular habitat or that particular ecosystem. Understood? And this ecological succession can be compared with the evolution. When we talk about evolution, it means evolution of a particular species. We relate this word to the species. But when we talk about ecological succession, we are relating this word to whole community, where there are more number of species, where it is a group of species in which several species have extincted or disappeared, and several species have introduced, they have developed, they have evolved. Understood? So when we talk about community, we call it ecological succession, and when we talk about a particular species, we call it evolution. Understood? So this is basic difference between evolution and ecological succession. Actually they are one and the same thing, but when we are addressing in different way, they are used. They are in different views. Understood? They are in different views. When we are weaving through species, when we have species view, we are calling it evolution. When we are having community view, we call it ecological succession. Again, this ecological succession is of two types, that is primary type of succession and secondary succession. Now, which kind of ecological succession is called primary succession? When this succession has started from the place where there is no species existing ever before, right? So here this species is coming from for the first time. For example, cooled lava, where there were no species earlier. Then newly created reservoirs or pond, there are much more type of examples in which there can be formation of new type of species where there were no earlier species existing ever before. Understood? And in these places, whatever succession is occurring is called ecological succession, as here soil is not present from the earlier, right? And barren rocks are present over these places. So these rocks have to get converted into soil first before vegetation develop in this place. right? So as this rock have to convert into soil, weathering should be needed here. Weathering is very crucial for conversion of rock into soil, and this weathering takes huge amount of time. So obviously primary succession also takes huge amount of time. Understood? So this is about primary succession. And in secondary succession, what is occurring is secondary succession can be occur in those places where there were already species present earlier, but due to some reason now no more species are available here, and again here succession is starting from the beginning. Understood? So this kind of succession is called secondary succession. Secondary succession can be find out in places. Secondary succession can begins in places like flooded land. Understood? Where flood have been done. Understood? Then burnt or cut forest, then abundant farmland. Understood? In all these places secondary succession can be started. Understood? It will start by itself. Understood? If that land is left with no human intervention, then obviously secondary succession will start here. And here somewhat soil is present, somewhat sediment is present over here. So this succession will take comparatively lesser time than the primary succession. Understood? So these are the two different type of successions, primary successions and secondary succession. Understood? And when we talk about ecological succession, we primarily focused on vegetative succession. We primarily focused on plant succession. But we should also keep this in mind that with the succession of plant, succession in animals also occurs. Because herbivores, if we talk about herbivores are feeding on only some type of plants. Understood? And if that plants have not evolved, then that kind of herbivore will not evolve. Understood? So whatever herbivores are present, it is depending on whether the plants on which they feed on are present or not. If these animals are feeding on those plants and those plants are available in particular type of plant, and if that particular type of plant have evolved in this community, then and only these animals can evolve in such community. Understood? So development in animal community is solely dependent on development in plant community. So succession of animals and succession of decomposers as well is totally dependent on plant succession. Understood? So this is about ecological succession, and this ecological succession can be disturbed by nature's or human-made disasters. Understood? And this disaster or this interference can lead to conversion of cellular stages from the existing one to the earliest cellular stages. Understood? And which is a huge disastrous change in the ecological succession, because ecological succession takes huge amount of time to be occur, and this changes may lead to change in the cellular stage to the earlier stage. Understood? And this type of changes brings certain condition in which some species may get extinct and some species may get, population of some species will be encouraged. Understood? So this is about ecological succession. Succession in plants. Succession in plant is very important because animal succession is totally dependent on plant succession, right? So we will study about succession in plants. Succession of plants begins in two type of areas, right? In two type of habitats, that is xeric condition and hydric condition. Xeric conditions are those conditions in which habitat is very, very dry, and hydric condition is that condition in which habitat is very, very wet. Understood? So either a habitat will be very, very wet or it will be very dry. Understood? And the successions in these two areas are called hydrarch conditions having hydric condition, hydrarch succession having hydric condition, and xerarch succession having xeric condition. Understood? So these two type of successions are there depending on in which type of habitat this succession will proceed. And surprisingly, both this succession will lead to mesic condition. Mesic condition means this habitat will have medium quantity of water. Understood? So both of this succession lead to same kind of condition in different kind of habitats. Understood? So let's proceed in this topic further. Okay. First of all, the organism which comes primarily in both of this succession, in any succession, are called pioneer species. These are the species from which succession starts. Understood? These constitutes the first community in any succession. Understood? So let's talk about pioneer species also. This pioneer species can be lichens in some successions, and it can be phytoplanktons in some successions, right? Let's talk about Zerach condition. Let's talk about Zerach condition and Zerach succession, where condition is very, very dry, where soil particles are there, not soil particles but sand particles are there, or rocks are there, right? On these rocks, first of all, lichens grows. Lichen are producing acids which are dissolving chemicals of rocks and slowly, gradually converting this rock into soil. Understood? And adding organic matter to this dissolving mineral particles, mineral chemicals, right? So here soil formation is occurring, and this is called weathering, and biologically formation of soil is occurring over here. Understood? Later, after certain period of lichens only, there will be growth of bryophytes as well, and this bryophytes will again add more organic matter in this kind of very small amount of soil, right? Because only bryophytes can grow in such amount of soil. Understood? Then later there will be more addition of soil in this habitat, and then higher plants will grow. Ultimately, this succession will lead to Mezarch condition, right? Mesic condition, wherein we can find taller trees in this condition, right? In this succession, right? And when taller trees are developed in this succession, then it have reached the climax community, right? Where it cannot further develop into any more type of community. Now, no more species composition will be changed here. Understood? So this is how Zerach condition get transformed into Mesic condition, and this is called Zerach succession, right? In primary succession of water, phytoplanktons are pioneer species, and this organisms then leads to the formation of rooted submerged plants. Then again it will lead to rooted floating plants, then reed swamp stage, then marsh meadow stage, then scrub plants, then scrub stage, then ultimately it leads to growth of tall plants, right? So this is how succession in hydrarch condition or hydric condition leads. Understood? This is how succession occurs over here. If you have noticed that here water condition or pond have slowly converted into land area, terrestrial area, where tall plants are there, right? Earlier aquatic plants are there, then it leads to growth of herbs and shrubs, and ultimately it leads to growth of tall trees, right? Here condition is Mesic condition, and this community is now climax community, where tall trees are there, because this community is in equilibrium. Now this composition of species is in equilibrium, they will not get changed here. Understood? So this is how primary succession is occurring in the pond. But as this seems to be very simple, it takes huge amount of time. Though it seems very simple, it takes huge amount of time to occur. Understood? It takes thousands of years to occur. Understood? While secondary succession is taking very less time comparison to primary succession, because here already soil or some sediment is there, as we have talked already earlier, right? Here presence of soil can be there, presence of some sediments can be there, presence of seeds or presence of vegetative propagules can also there. Understood? So all this is actually, it depends on all this condition, it depends on environmental condition also. And as earlier vegetation is there, so environmental must be favoring here vegetation, right? So this succession is really very faster than the primary succession. So this is about succession in plants.